Hi everyone, and welcome to the Hunter Virtual Racing Gauntlet Series. This is round two, and it is Hunter Virtual Racing versus Port Macquarie Cycle Club. With me, I have got the master Nick Haddon. Say g'day, Nick Haddon.
Good afternoon, Pete. Good afternoon, all the listeners out there. Welcome
Did
to
it take you
round
that long
two
to
of
hear? Was the
the
delay that long?
winter. It was that long, yes.
Oh, really? Oh, wow. Okay, well, that's no good. So I'm Pete Sinclair. I'm one of the four of us that were crazy enough to think that we would put some work in and
Have
get
you?
some virtual racing going. That includes Laura Renshaw and the great man himself, Alan Chapman, whose computer is so bad that he can't do this. Mind you, everyone's computer is shocking. The amount of data that the Zwift takes on mere mortal computers is phenomenal. So, mate, the race starts in about 5 minutes and 30 seconds. I can see Greg Rose sitting there. I can see you sitting there. We're looking in B grade today because we thought we did A grade last time. Have you got any thoughts about the riders in the race today, mate?
Well, it looks like we've got a good selection of both HVR riders and a lot of Port Macquarie Cycling Club riders. Looks like there's at least 5 or 6 starters from their club today, so it should be a pretty good showdown in that grade, particularly.
Are you looking at Zwift Power by chance to have a look and see what the numbers look of any of these guys? There's some great data in Zwift Power.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Do you want
It sure
any
is. So
any
I'm just having a
particular
look
riders
now.
that
So,
stand out for you?
yeah, I'll have a look at some of the HVR riders to start because I probably know a bit more about some of those than we do the Port Macquarie ones at this stage. It looks like Pete Sinclair's in B grade today, so
In B grade, I heard he is a hitter, that guy.
that's it. He almost spewed on Friday night from a race, but he's good to go.
Almost was pretty close.
Now it looks like there's a few good strong riders actually in the B grade from the Newcastle region or HVR crew. We've got Ben Peterson, who was right up there in the series, if not the winner of B grade for our first series. He's having a start today, and along with I think he's Dave Heaton, who was putting out some really big numbers in some of the early races on Swift when he first started up. So it should be a good hit out, particularly between those two. And I can also see last night's first or second place in the Friday night World Championships race. Paul Dropper's also having a start today. So that's quite a solid field there. I'm pretty glad I'm watching rather than racing today.
Yes, I know. After last night's race, my glutes are not feeling particularly friendly. I took my 14-year-old daughter out for a ride today, and she was off the front the whole way. I was just sitting there glad that I wasn't riding with my 16-year-old son, which would have been a hell of a lot harder. I am sitting here actually trying to find the race in Zwift Power. For some reason, the uh, the
The trick with
t-
that one is that
time switched me
time,
over to
time
Europe, so I couldn't see any of the right times.
6:05,
So I've just moved back to
6:05
Australia.
a.m.
There we go, the 3R Watopia flat race. I've got it.
That's the one.
I see Laura
So it looks
Renshaw's
like a
name in
down.
there. Is Laura actually racing?
Yeah, Laura, I think she might be.
Okay, so I'm going through all of these names here. I cannot see any A graders from HVR or PMC in here. Now, what am I doing wrong? Because I can't see any HVR
Uh,
riders in here. 3R, oh no, that says 3R Watopia flat
Because I can
race. That's not
see,
what we're doing.
yeah, go to the hilly reverse race.
It's a
So
hilly
I've got
reverse race,
the
yes.
the HVR riders we've got in A grade, Louis Garland, continue on with his fine form going online from his stints in the bush doing the mountain bikes lately. Kyle Morrison, Robbie Johnson, Dan Sullivan's having another go today, and Matthew Tam also in A grade for the HVR riders.
So
I'll have a look
Matty
and
Tam's moved up into A grade, has
see
he?
what we've got with it.
I've been really impressed. Louis
Looks
Garland
like
has
he
been
has for
putting
today.
out some beautiful numbers. 712 watts average for his 15-second power. Um, for when he's on the climb, he's putting out 10 watts a kilogram. That's pretty impressive. Now, I cannot see. Oh, I can see. We've got Brandon Conway, Justin McKinnon in there for Port Macquarie. They're two very,
Yep.
very strong riders. I can
Yep.
actually see, even though he's not with us, but there's
Yeah.
a young New South Wales under 17 rider, Ryland Short, there, who's a very attacking rider. So we've got to be careful. Robbie Johnson will have to keep his eye out for him. I think Dan Sullivan will have his measure though. It'll be absolutely fine. Yeah, it's good. We can see a couple of the juniors in there. There's a guy from Randwick Botany Cycle Club there, William Heffernan. So the
Yep.
youngsters will be sitting there. I see that Laura is in B grade for this one. What's happening there?
I'm not quite sure. She's stepping up for this one to have a look. I just got a confirmation from young Alan, Alan Chapman, our commentator from the last couple of rounds, who's actually sitting there in B grade on the start line, ready to go. Said the sound is good. You can hear us loud and clear. So
Okay, and Alan Chapman, if you can tell me whether or not Nick's voice is loud enough, because I can't hear him very well through my cans as well, and I'm sure he'll do it. So
got
if
them.
we've got any questions coming up on the Facebook page or the YouTube page, will you look after those, Nick?
Yeah, can do. So I'll have them
Okay,
both. Yep,
excellent.
Alan said he
So
can hear me
I
fine.
can
So
see. So is
10
Alan
seconds to
racing?
go too.
He is racing.
Alan is race. Yep.
Okay, how about I
We've got
hit Zwift Companion? I will click fan view so I can see this guy as soon as we get off. We're off. Hold on, or is that A grade? I'm looking for fan view because I don't want to lose them. Okay, so we're off. I am following B grade with Alan Chapman there, as you can see on the screen, Nick. Alan was just sitting down 515 watts to get off that start line, as most people will know that the trick is to actually lay down the power in that first 2 seconds before the timer goes off, because that's the way you are going to be able to stay there up the front with the bunch and not get dropped. So I can see that we have got one of the young, because obviously this is a mass start race, and so we are going to see all of the sort of stronger riders probably staying together with the A and B grade, but we will see some of those C graders drop off, and I can see already that we have got a couple of them just dropping off a little bit through there. I can see a Dot Price. Do you reckon that is Lawrence Price? It says HVR on his name.
Yeah, it could be Lawrence Price. I'd say he was active in last night's race. Had a good race in B grade.
Yeah, he's come a long way, hasn't he? I do
Yeah.
remember him from his days being a D grader. He's enjoying the Zwift. He's got a fantastic little setup with the water bottles on his garage door wall, and so he's not using the water off the getting his water off the bike. There's a fairly decent sized bunch there. You can still starting to thin out there with the A and B graders separating. There's still a couple of C graders sitting in there. I'm just having a little bit of trouble going with the computer. Alan, I'm trying to get back onto Alan. Let's go to Kyle Morrison, because this is the A grade bunch. It's actually probably one of the better things if we've got a mass start, but we'll be able to call through some of the
So you're
lower
actually
grades.
in the vision at the moment. We're sitting on Alan Chapman as he works his way through the field in the B grade bunch.
Tell me, are you looking at the YouTube view, or are you looking, is that where you're looking at?
I'm looking. Yours is a YouTube view. You sitting on Alan Chapman, and
No,
I'm
I've actually
actually
moved to
looking at
Kyle
the.
Morrison, so that's very interesting.
Hmm,
Is that have you still got Alan Chapman on the view?
now you've gone to C Wilson now. ZHR.
Okay, so the delay is quite significant, because my view now on my computer is Kyle Morrison.
Okay. So basically, what I'm finding is there's about a minute delay.
That's
1
pretty
minute and 2
significant.
seconds to be
One
precise.
of the things that we had
Yeah.
noticed when we were first setting up the YouTube account and all that is that obviously the latency or the delay of the stream actually gives you a couple of different options from YouTube. There's what they call
Okay.
normal latency, low latency and something else, and it's all about how intensive it is on your computer. So I'm currently got it on Kyle Morrison, who's
Yep.
sitting there going up this climb 7% at 5.5 watts a kilogram, and the field has just been totally blown apart. I can see Robbie Johnson's just sitting just ahead from HVR in A grade. Paul Drop, who is sitting in B grade, is sitting with them, as is Dave Heaton, that Nick talked about before. But I've just put us on to Lewis Garland. I think maybe we might stay with A grade for a little bit here, seeing as it's a mass start, and we can go back through to B grade and see how young Alan Chapman's going up that hill. I think the poor guy's going to be struggling.
So yeah, the course today looks like a pretty tough one actually. I'm having a look at the profile now. We've got 3 laps of a course with one basically significant climb in each lap, averaging about 6%, which is for people who ride around the Newcastle area, about 1.5 times the steepness of Brunker Road or the steepest part of the Fernley track. But it looks like it's going to be a pretty tough day for the field going up that hill 3 times.
I can see that it's very interesting when you're looking at this power here. D. Leckenby from Port Macquarie. Now, I'm not sure of his first name. He's sitting there with a C grader as well. Whereas you've got Louis Garland sitting there, 5.5 watts a kilogram. Then Mr. Leckenby or Ms. Leckenby from Port Macquarie Cycle Club. And the view that you can see right now. And then we've got a C grader who is sitting with these guys, just pushing out a lazy 5.6, 6.4 watts a kilogram. I think that C grader may very well, who doesn't have HVR or PMC on their name, may well be sandbagging and will get booted if they are in Swift Power. But the bunch that I'm
It can
currently
be.
looking at includes Paul Drop, Louis Garland, and Deckenby from Port Macquarie. But up the road, these guys are chasing on. We've got a little bunch that's just up the road that is only a second. In fact, they're all coming back together again with that little chase group that has Dan Sullivan, Robbie Johnson, Ryland Short, who I talked about earlier, Matty Tam's there, and these guys look like they're chasing a bunch who is just up the road by maybe 5 seconds. So I'm currently got the view on Matty Tam from HVR,
Yep.
heart rate sitting up in the high 170s, and Dan Sullivan, interestingly, along with Louis Garland, is with this guy, with this group, sorry, along with Robbie Johnson and Brandon Conway from Port Macquarie Cycle Club is 8 seconds up the road from these guys. So I'm now on the view with the leading bunch, which are about 8 seconds ahead. There looks to be about 7 riders, and we've got Jay McKinnon and Brandon Conway, both from Port Macquarie Cycle Club in this group. Uh, so they're putting
Yeah.
in a fairly decent push here to get away. So this will be very interesting
Yeah.
to see if that second A grade bunch now that includes a lot of the HVR riders will be able to actually catch this group with the 2 Port Macquarie
That's
riders
it.
in it. Has that view
It
come
looks.
across
Well,
to you now, Nick?
yeah, so it looks like it's been a pretty solid start. So I can see there's basically a bunch of 8 guys up the road, probably about 7 seconds ahead, as you just mentioned. Then 2 of the Port Macquarie guys in there. So yeah, it's putting it down out on the road there. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. It is early on in the race, but yeah, we'll see how it goes from here. But now they're just and as of the update, it looks like they've actually all come back together potentially.
Yeah, I've just while you've been talking, I've just tried to go back into the settings to have a
Yep.
look and see if what the latency was on this stream. And it says
Yep.
that I've actually got it on near normal. So
Okay.
so I don't know if that's just an issue with my internet connection, and given that you're in Merriweather Heights, and I'm just here in lowly New Lambton, that maybe you've got better vision than me. But what I've got is currently, can you see I'm on
we'll,
Brandon
we'll get you
Conway?
on the
Yes.
NBN. we'll get
Okay.
you on the MBN one day, Pete, and then you'll be back up to it with the rest of
Yeah,
us.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
I can
don't
see
think they
you
know what the
watching.
ambient, but it does look to me very much now. Brandon's now in 13th, whereas before he was up a lot higher. So I do think, and it does appear to
Yeah,
me that that bunch has all come back together again, which is quite nice. Um,
and so
I'm
back
just trying
further
to see
down the
if I can
road,
get
I'm
my
actually
mouse
having a look at a.
working. Let's go and have.
I've actually clicked on a few of the Newcastle riders back in the B and C grade bunch, and I'm actually on my screen now watching Arthur Snow, and it looks like there's a few other Newcastle riders around that. I can see Brett Lampkin and Arthur Snow, Michael Flynn still in there, one of the C graders in that bunch. So, yeah,
So tell me, I want to see if we've got a better control of the stream now. Who's the rider I'm highlighting right now?
you're on Brandon Conway at the
No,
moment.
okay. So I have moved to Robbie Johnson from that bunch.
Okay.
So it's very interesting is that we still have, I think there's a T. Lindorf. I wonder if that's actually Tyler Lindorf. Really, really quite a strong rider sitting there with the bunch, who is in B grade. And there are a couple of B graders who are still sitting in here. We've got that C grade rider that's still sitting in there. And Dave Heaton is currently sitting from B grade with this front bunch. I hope he's not going to blow too many what is it, too many calories, too much power too early, and then blow up and
That's
be-
it. He's
become a
only got
DNF.
so many matches. That's it.
Matches,
But
that's the
he's
word,
been going.
matches.
He's,
The
he
stress
was
of
going
trying to
pretty well in
manage
the.
this stream, I just can't even think of a word. So now I'm going to see if my fancy little hookup here will take me back to where Alan Chapman currently is. Okay, well, that is very fancy. Alan Chapman taught me a little trick about using Zwift Companion and how I can actually switch through and change the riders. So you might not be able to see it on your screen just yet, but I actually have moved back to Alan Chapman, who's sitting at about 63.3k into the race, who's sitting with a bunch of a few riders, maybe about 20, which also includes young Alani Cockshut from Port Macquarie, who I'm profiling now. Now, Alani has absolutely dominated her grade in track cycling, and has been doing absolutely fantastic. And she's sitting there in the group, and I think she's only 14 or 15. And Mel Cockshut, who everyone would know from as being the Port Macquarie person who's helped us with setting up the Gauntlet Challenge, this is her daughter, funnily enough. So I can see her sitting there with, yeah, there's a good bunch of maybe 15 riders here, with Alani sitting there with, we think it is Lawrence Price, and other and Cole Hassel looks like he's in this bunch as well. Cole Hassel is one of our riders. Is he a Team Fit Rig rider, Cole Hassel?
Yeah, Cole is. He's been, yeah, part of our crew for a few years now, and yeah, he's a
He
very
likes to
very
use
strong rider.
lowercase
Loves
letters. I noticed that he's not using, he's got lowercase c, lowercase h. So
he does.
he's sitting in there. We're currently looking at him. Let's have a look at the difference in heart rate between Lani Cockshut, so A Cockshut, and Cole Hassel. So Cole is, how old's Cole, you reckon? In his early 40s? Don't tell me
I'd
he's in
say
his
so.
late
Yeah,
30s or he'll
yeah.
never talk to me. He's sitting there 179 beats per minute. And we've got Lani. Oh, she's not wearing a heart rate monitor. But she is lightweight. She would probably be maybe 50 kilograms, putting out 260 watts. Her cadence is around 70. But she has not got a heart rate monitor, so Zwift power might not like her too much. Now I'm going to go down and we're going to have a look at another rider who's sitting a little bit back here. This is a rider by the name of L. Kendall. Now I happen to know L. Kendall because he is a teacher at my kid's school. And
Oh,
we've
nice.
been trying to get him, in fact, Aidan has been trying to get Luke into racing for a long time. And we eventually, I think he was a little bit nervous about getting up and racing on the road with everybody because it was something very new to him. But he's a fairly strong rider, and he's sitting there with a look at that heart rate, only 142 beats per minute, putting out about 280 watts, and he's sitting pretty. And I'm not sure if that is the leading C grade bunch, but I will go back. You know, he's sitting about 74th. Yeah, look, it's a bit hard to tell because there are C grade riders that are dotted all the way through this race, and we're not sure how many are actually sitting there sandbagging. So,
Well, it is what it is, Pete. You can, yeah, you're in C grade. They might have a good start. We'll see how they go as the race goes on, basically. So
Yeah, well, it's interesting. So I'm on with R. Oxenford now, who's also C grade. Now, remember we said that Larney was up in that bunch with Cole and Allen. So Larney from Port Macquarie Cycle Club. Now, just having a look at here, looking with Oxenford, who's in that group with Luke Kendall, that if we go up to Larney, if I can find her, who's with Lawrence, whereabouts are you? Is that they're about 40 seconds up the road. And in fact, I've just found Tim Hasnut from HVR, and he is sitting in that same bunch with oh he's playing around with me a little bit here. There is Tim. I've got him. And there is another rider from HVR as well. So these guys are a little bit ahead, and you can see that this bunch that I'm with right now includes someone like I McGregor from Port Macquarie Cycle Club, who's saying that he's in C grade, but he's sitting with this B grade bunch, which includes Larney as well. But I have right now moved over to Jay Carr, who is Jason with a Y, Jasyn, who is one of the young under 17 Hunter District riders who is a mountain biker
so
by trade and has been conned into coming over to do a little bit of road riding as well by Aidan
so Pete,
Sinclair,
I'll
and
just
he's come along
I'll,
with a couple of other handy little mountain bikers who are a bit too nervous to jump onto Zwift, but Jason's shown the courage to jump up and give it his best. So he's sitting here. So
just
he is 15 years old and sitting there with 170 beats a minute.
yeah.
So these guys are going to be able to push up into the 190s, and I would think that
So
Jason is
Pete,
actually sitting in there
I'll just
quite
give you the heads up,
comfortably at the
Pete.
moment.
Can you hear me there, Pete?
Yeah, mate.
Yep, just letting you know, I've switched over to some of the A grade riders now. I'm looking at Dan Sullivan in the live feed, and they're actually just going up the hill for the second time.
Okay, so how about I get this
So it looks like
stream?
the bunch. Yep. So if you can switch across to Dan, looks like Dan's sitting right in the middle of the bunch. Looks like there's a little bit of a split sort of happening as a few gaps start to appear as they're going up the hill for the second time. As I'm
Okay,
watching
so I'm
Dan
sitting here and
punch.
I'm sitting with Paul Drop, who's sitting about 6 seconds from Ryland Short, who we talked about before, which we're looking. And now I'm on to Robbie Johnson, who is sitting 11th. And we can still see a couple of those Port Macquarie guys are sitting a lot better place going up this climb. Now, I'm not surprised because Brandon Conway is an absolute stick and would be flying up that hill like a mountain goat. So I've got him. Brandon and Jay McKinnon are sitting there, and O. Jakeman from Port Macquarie. And those three look to be out of the HVR and the PMC riders to be the three strongest riders. And I will not be surprised if we see a Port Macquarie 1, 2, 3 here. I will not be surprised at all because what have we got now?
So we're
Four
actually
laps to
looking.
go, mate.
No, this is the second time up the climb. It's three laps. So they're doing the climb three times. So it looks like there's been starting to split up a little bit more. Initially, there was 11 riders had sort of forged a bit of a gap on the rest of the field, but now there's sort of five clear with, as you said, Brandon Conway and Justin McKinnon, both the Port Macquarie riders in that five riders. So we've got a solid chasing bunch. We're only talking 7 or 8 seconds off at the moment. So we're looking in there. We've got Kyle Morrison, Robbie Johnson, Dan Sullivan, and Matthew Tam still in that bunch as well. So it looks like there's been a bit of a separation in that bunch at the front, but it's not too far. But it is only the second time up the hill. It's still got one more time to climb for the race, and that's really where it's going to stretch him out, I reckon, in that third time up the hill.
So you think the third time they're really, because these boys are just sitting here. We're still on Jay McKinnon here on the stream. He's just sitting here, just putting out. I know they're just coming over the top now. They're onto the -3%, so the power doesn't matter. But you can still see that Robbie Johnson and Kyle Morrison only 2 seconds back were putting out 5 watts a
That's it.
kilogram as they came
Yep.
over and summited that climb. I can't see any KLM jerseys there on anyone, so it doesn't seem to me that they actually are having a KOM on this, or do you know something
I'm
I
not
don't?
quite sure on the race today. Yeah.
I did see
No,
Lani
you
Cockshut
know as
had
much as I do.
a KOM next to her name, so I don't know what's happening there.
Okay.
Um, so I would
Let's
not
have a
be
look. I'll go
surprised
over.
on
I'll go over.
this descent if we see a few other extra riders come back down with this bunch.
Yeah, so it wouldn't surprise me. I'm looking at the time gaps now. Just refresh the feed here. So yeah, it looks like some of the time gaps are coming down a little bit. There's going to be a bit of a regrouping on the way down the hill here. As you can see, it's back to a bunch of 8 leading now with still about 10 seconds to another 3 off the back chasing there. But yeah, it looks like it might all come back together shortly to
Yeah, actually, it's
finish
very
off the rest
interesting.
of it.
I'm sitting here currently with Robbie Johnson on the feed, and he and Kai
Yep.
Morrison have made it onto that front bunch. So hopefully those guys, along with the 3 Port Macquarie guys, but very surprisingly, Dan Sullivan is actually 21 seconds back, and Dan Sullivan was the winner of HVR's very first series. We called it the Super Series, and Dan
Yep.
basically just destroyed absolutely everyone. So it looks like Dan is struggling a little bit there, but good to see Robbie and Kyle doing great for HVR. We obviously have to make sure that we're very balanced, given that we're commentating on this. Have you got any early thoughts, mate? You going to put a prediction in for A grade?
Basically, just seeing how it's panning out now, it'd be hard to not see the 2 Port Macquarie boys lay the hammer down in the last lap and get away. But who knows? Who knows how the other guys are sitting on? I can actually see the heart races, live heart race for all of the top, like basically all the competitors now, the live feed. They're all sitting nicely in around the somewhere between the mid 140s to high 160s as they've started to recover a little bit from the main climb. But yeah, at this stage, they seem to be going pretty well on the first 2 climbs. I'd be surprised if there was a significant turnaround, but who knows? Who knows? There might be a couple come from we're looking at
Yeah,
the split probably about 14 or 15 seconds back, whether they can get back on without having burnt too many matches to get there. Yeah, at this stage, I'm looking at the PMCC guys for looking good for a couple of spots on the podium today, but yeah, we'll see how it all pans out, I suppose.
it's interesting. I can see that the group with Dan Sullivan, who includes Matty Tam, are 21 seconds back. We can't forget O. Jakeman from Port Macquarie. There are 3 Port Macquarie guys there, and it would be very interesting to see if these 3 guys are maybe chatting separately on something like
Yep.
Discord, and we'll be setting up some significant attacks on that last climb. There's Dan Sullivan again. So I'm live with Dan Sullivan now. And
Yep.
yeah, he's sitting with a bunch with 4 other riders, which includes Matty
Yeah.
Tam from HVR.
That's
Louis Garland is 36 seconds behind those guys, so definitely on this course compared to the Tuesday night course when we ran round 1 of the Gauntlet series, that this is a far more taxing course for the riders.
So even just looking at some of the power numbers they're putting out there, it's going to be a big ask to bring it back. It's looking like it's blown out to probably is about 25 seconds, 26 seconds on the actual live feed that we're looking at. The gap from the lead bunch of 8 riders back to the next bunch of 3 that has included in it Dan Sullivan, a Chris Sauce, and a Matthew Tam, another HVR guy as well. But
Mm.
judging by the amount of power, I can see that the Dan's actually averaged for the first part of this race, sitting in the mid 340s just to get to this point. It's going to be a big ask to bring back that 15, particularly if the front guys are actually all working together.
Yeah, I do think I think my prediction will be that that front bunch in A grade of those 8, 9 riders will stay away, and that that group of 4, will not be able to catch them. But the $1 million question is, who is the money going to be on? I'm going to put it on Brandon Conway for the win for this one. Big call. That's my money.
Big
Sorry
call.
if
Yeah.
anyone
Okay.
worries about my loyalties with HVR. can see as they're just dropping down this -4%. Robbie Johnson is just dangling there at the back. Um, you can see him sitting there just 1-2 meters off the back with Jakeman from Port Macquarie. So Robbie's feeling a little bit tired there. Heart rate sitting around 160. Let's have a look and compare that to someone like Brandon Conway, who is where is he? There's Brandon. Oh no, Brandon. There's Jakeman. Jakeman's not actually wearing a heart rate monitor, so that might cause problems for him and neither is Conway. Seems the Port Macquarie guys don't have heart rate monitors. They don't need them in Port Mac.
I've actually just switched over to B grade to have a look and see what's happening in the B grade bunch at the moment.
Okay, so
That's where we have
let me see if I'll go back to B grade. Um,
yeah. I've,
I've just
I've jumped
on the
on board
view. I've
with
just gone
Ben
back to
Peterson.
myself sitting on the on the start line. So I'm with
Am I
Alan
still there?
Chapman. Who are you looking at?
I'm looking at Ben Peterson myself, who's right up there in the B grade battle.
Okay, I
As
can
we can see, if
see.
I just scroll down, I can see we've got a David Leckenby sitting 43 seconds off the lead, but is actually probably the lead rider out of all the Port Macquarie versus the HVR riders. And I can also see he's actually joined by Glenn Morgan and Paul Drop, all sitting about 45 seconds back. But in the
o-
B grade field, that's where the top three from the Port Macquarie versus HVR Gauntlet race is at the moment.
Okay, I'm currently on with Paul Drop, and he is with Leckenby from Port Macquarie. Are you thinking that this is the front B grade bunch?
It's yes, I'm definitely thinking this is the front B grade bunch. So it looks like there's a couple of outliers that are actually like Tyler Lindorf, who's actually still with the with the A grade leaders by the look of it. Another Australian rider, Chris Sauce. Apologies if I'm pronouncing your name incorrectly. And then we have the three: David Leckenby, Glenn Morgan, and Paul Drop.
Yeah,
Following
who's
them, we have
also
about
got
20.
the young Ryland Short there with him. And I just saw Ben Peterson. So Ben Peterson is sitting languishing 42 seconds back from this bunch. Now, Ben was the winner of our
Correct.
B grade Super Series with HVR. Our very first series, as I said earlier in the broadcast. So we got Louis Garland is with these guys. Now, Lewis is an A grader. I suspect he probably did 100K this morning on the mountain bike. But he's
Yeah, that's
sitting
right.
in there uh, probably giving a big advantage and support to Leckenby and Drop in B grade. So we do think that these are our leaders at the moment in
Yes.
B grade. So it'll be a battle between Drop and Leckenby here for the win. And looks like Ben Peterson sitting a little bit further back may do all right with there. So I'm just going to go back up to Matty Tam, who's sitting there with A grade. Sitting there about 38 seconds off the back with Dan Sullivan. Maddie's sitting there with that bunch of four that are chasing that we did see that was 24 seconds last time we were looking at them, and that's now blown out to 38 seconds. So I think that we know that that bunch up the front is going to stay away.
I'm just going to try and switch over to Brandon Conway now because looks like we're about to actually start the climb. There's probably about a K to go or K and a half to go before we actually get to the base of the climb for the third and final time for the day.
Okay.
So this is
Now,
where it's all going to happen.
very interestingly, my computer, my screen is going absolutely ape, and all I can see is black just flicking all around. Which is interesting. But I am sitting on Robbie Johnson as they are just coming up hitting 4% and they've started the climb and they've just hit the 11%. But my screen is flickering and pixelating a fair bit. We've got some serious power being laid down now, and this group is just stringing out. Brandon Conway sitting in there third with putting out 8.5 watts a kilogram. These boys are hitting it hard now. Jake Cridland sitting there leading the pack with 8.6 watts a kilogram. They are all lighting up orange. But now we have really definitely strung it out. There are three riders, which is Lindorf, who is a B grader. I think he will be shafted, and we will see Brandon Conway and Jakeman sit here and probably take the win here. So we've currently in the lead have got T Lindorf, then Conway sitting behind us, putting out 7.4 watts a kilogram, and with Jay Cridland, who those three riders are together. And then we've got Jakeman, who's 4 seconds back from Port Macquarie, and Kyle Morrison, who's sitting another 7 seconds back, but 2 seconds back from Jakeman. But yeah, I think we may have a sandbagger here at the front, Lindorf, or he's put himself in the wrong
Yeah,
grade. But we're still watching
I'd, I'd,
Brandon Conway.
I'd say when I'd say young Lindor, once he podiums in this race and punches out an average of 5 watts per kilo for the 37 minutes that they're going to be racing today, might be the last time he gets a start in A grade, I'd say. So we can see they've actually just gone over the top and through the KOM banners by the looks of it, or the start of the KOM, would that
Hey mate,
be?
if you've seen that, that means the stream is cleaned up because that's exactly what I've just seen. So we must be
Yep.
back to almost identical time. So we're still sitting there with Brandon Conway. Lindorf is 5 seconds ahead. Now I called that Brandon Conway would be the winner of A grade, and I think I'm going to be right.
Yeah, it's looking like you could be on the money there, Pete. I think you've a
Now, I
nice
just noticed
educated guess
here,
there, and
if you have a look here on the screen, you see B Conway, then you see that Tyler Lindorf is just in front of him. But I do see two down, there's a couple of D graders that these guys are coming up to catch, and one is H Dell. Now, H Dell, if I am correct, is Haley Dell, one of the Hunter District junior riders. So
oh,
this,
excellent,
I
great.
I
Yep,
know that Mum and Dad were looking for the ant stick, so I think they must have found it, and it looks like
yep.
Young Haley, who is an under first year under 15 rider, is racing for HVR today, which is fantastic to see.
It's great to see some of the juniors getting in there having a go as well.
So I can't tell how much further we've got to go, mate. All I can tell you is that Lindorf is 11 seconds off Brandon Conway. Brandon sitting here and just settling in and time trialing home. He's just going up this little 5% kick here, putting out 5.3 watts a kilogram, but he's sitting quite nicely. Robbie Johnson is then the next best place of the riders. It looks like the other two Port Macquarie riders, who I thought might go 1, 2, 3, have died, or they've slingshot Brandon to the front. I'm just going to see if I can. No, actually, I am wrong. I am wrong. Jakeman is there. Jakeman and McKinnon are both together, along with Cridlin and Kyle Morrison
Yes,
and Robbie Johnson as well. So
cor-
there is
correct. Yep.
going to be a big battle for second and third place between the HVR and PMCC riders.
So even looking at the estimated finish times here, there's going to be a good selection of about 9 guys, all within a minute of each other. So it looks like there's been a few splits there. At the moment, they're sitting, the top 10 is in 1s, 2s, and 3s out on the road. So it's going to make for a really interesting finish as they all time trial themselves to the line from where they are. Bit of downhill as we can see with I'm following Brendan Conway at the moment as he rides down the back end of the hill. He's actually solo at the moment.
So Brandon, from my view, is 12 seconds ahead of Robbie Johnson's group, with it includes Jakeman and McKinnon from Port Macquarie. So
Correct. Yep.
that is interesting. So Robbie is the only HVR rider along with Kyle Morrison. Very interesting. I thought Dan Sullivan would have done a lot better today. Apparently his coach might be flogging him too much.
I don't want to give away too many of the secrets. Like someone might have been doing an FTP test in the middle of a race today, but other than that, yeah, he's still up
Well,
there,
wait a minute.
still in the top
You are you telling me that in the middle of this race you got Dan Sullivan to do an FTP test?
potentially. Yeah.
Potentially, you are nasty. When we going to change your nickname from the Master to something far more evil? So okay, so we're sitting
uh,
here. Let's have a
it's,
look at this break. You know what? I just fall 4 seconds. 4 seconds to Brandon Conway. I think Conway's in trouble.
you got 4 seconds to Brandon
No,
Conway.
two
So it
seconds to
looks like,
Brandon Conway. 1 second to Brandon Conway. They have caught him.
yeah,
They have
you can
caught
see
him.
that
He
on
has,
the,
I think he has blown the matches.
yeah, it's all come
There
back
we
together
go.
now. Unless he's
Morrison's
actually,
just come past him. McKinnon's just come past
unless
him.
he's,
Robbie Johnson's just come past him. Heffernan is on his way past him. Jakeman is on his way past him. Cridlin is sitting there as well. Oh my gosh, our hero was crowing. Maybe that's my first ever commentator's curse, mate.
That's it. Great work, Pete. Brandon will thank you for that one
You
later
know,
on if
he
he
will
doesn't
now. I
come up
notice
with
he's the only guy
the
in that bunch who's on the Tron
statistics,
bike
mate.
as well.
Looks like there's one or two in there. Actually, there's another one with the blue wheels
Oh, yes, okay,
sitting by.
yes,
I'm
I
not
do
quite
see
sure
it.
which
I do
rider
see it.
that is, but
Now, hey, on that stream that you can see, are you getting a lot of black pixelation in that?
on the YouTube feed,
Yeah.
it's actually little bits and pieces. I can see a little bit. Yeah, I can see a little bit on the YouTube feed. Yeah,
Okay, right, yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because I've
that'll
not
be
ever
something to
seen
work
this
on for
black
the.
pixelation before until this stream today. So, okay, so how far away from the finish, mate?
I reckon we are. We're probably just having a look at the time now. We're probably about 5 minutes away from finishing the race, actually. So the leaders are actually going through at 23, just crossing over 24 kilometres. So it's not too far to go now.
Okie dokie, I am having a lot of trouble from actually seeing the screen with the pixelation that's popping up on my screen. So yeah, I'm not sure exactly why that's happening. It's probably something to do with computer processing power or something. So I can see that these guys are coming up to lap some of the D graders. I can see a couple of HVR and PMC names there. But I wonder if now this is going to come down to obviously it's going to come down to a sprint between these guys. Now I don't know if it is going to come down to a sprint. I don't think I see someone like Conway being able to figure in this.
We're about to find out, aren't we? It looks like we're going to have at this stage, if it all stays the way it is, a 7-up sprint for the oh, looking like they're 12 seconds off. So Tyler's actually still up the road in this race, the actual
Yeah, well,
possibly
we
his last
can't because Tyler's
racing B
B
grade,
grade,
but
and I think we're making it. We've made a decision that he's definitely in the wrong bunch. Um,
that's
but
it.
but we are talking about A grade, so I think
So if we're looking at the A grade guys in the Gauntlet Challenge between the PMC and the HVR riders, it looks like there's about 5 or 6 of them in this lead bunch. So it's going to be an all out sprint to the line unless someone can get away.
yeah. So let's just go through. We got Robbie Johnson and Kyle Morrison from HVR. And then we have Conway, Jakeman, and McKinnon from Port Macquarie. So it's 3 versus 2. Now, I don't know. The only Port Macquarie rider I know is Brandon. I don't know McKinnon, and I don't know Jakeman. However, I do know Robbie, and I do know Kai Morrison. Now, Kai Morrison is a strong lad. I'm actually surprised he's there up the front after that, going up that climb 3 times. But I reckon that Kyle has got a strong sprint. I would think, without knowing those other 2 riders, that he is going to be he's going to be there at the pointy end.
Yeah, if I was going to put my money on a couple here, I'd be looking at someone like your Justin McKinnon, who are Kyle Morrison, who are more powerfully built riders here. So yeah, depending on as long as the finish isn't on an uphill bit, I'll be looking for those two to
Yeah.
actually
So do you know
put
Justin
out some good
McKinnon? Then
numbers at
you've
the end.
obviously said Justin. I've been calling him Jay McKinnon the whole way. Do you know this guy?
Just from what Zwift Power is teaching me, and I'm learning more about him as we go.
Now, what about young Robbie Johnson? What chances have he got in this sprint?
Yeah, Robbie Johnson is quite a handy little sprinter at the end. He's got a bit of punch about him, but yeah, we'll just have to wait and see how he
Well,
goes.
the
Really, he's
question
one of
is
those
how
guys.
much
He'll just
punch
get
has
his
he got
teeth.
left after this?
He'll just keep on giving and keep on gritting those teeth and trying to stay there as much as he can. Robbie will be. So we'll be. I'll be expecting him to at least be having a real decent crack at the end here. So
Excellent. So what was the gazetted time? We're coming into the finish now. We're about, what, a kilometre away, are we, if
yeah,
I can see this
yeah, it's not.
correctly?
I can see the blimp on the actual live feed that we have, so we're not far away at all.
We're not
I'd
far
probably
away at
say we're
all.
probably
So we'll see if any of these lights start to turn orange. McKinnon's on the front, just chopping off with Kai Morrison. So we've got Heffernan, the under 17
yeah,
rider
here we
there. Here
go.
we go.
The
They've
numbers
all
are
just turned orange.
they're starting to light up
Brandon
now.
Conway
200
sitting
meters
in the
to go.
front now, coming in first. And oh, this is so hard. Jakeman's coming through. I think Jakeman is sitting there in the lead. Jakeman looks like he might take it sitting there at 14.5 watts. No, Gridland's coming up over the top of him. Oh no, I think Heffernan may have taken this. That was pretty crazy. There were several riders all coming in there very, very, very hot at the beginning, at the end, I'm sorry. I'm going to try and see if I can go back to some of the other riders in the bunch. Um,
what we
which,
what we can do now is switch back to the B grade bunch and see how they're going there.
yeah, it's interesting. Now that these guys have finished, I cannot see any A or B grade riders written here. When I'm looking on the feed, all I can see is group riders close by. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to that fan view of
Yep.
Alan Chapman. Okay, that's good. It's giving me back to Alan. Let's see if we can move up here and see more of these riders. So I'm back with Jason Carr, who's sitting with Asakura from Japan. But up further up the road, there's
So I'm
Tim.
looking at some of the live. It looks like we've got Dave Leckenby and Glenn Morgan are actually up the road, but we've actually they're only a couple of seconds ahead of Ben Peterson as well, and Paul Drops just dangling off the back there too. So it looks like we could be coming in for a four up finish for the B graders as well.
Okay, I've just
I'm
found
actually on
Glenn
board now,
Morgan,
following
who's
Glenn
just come
Morgan.
in. Is Glenn Morgan has just attacked. He's sitting at
There he
13.2
goes.
watts a kilogram, and Leckenby's sitting there with him. And Leckenby has not actually hit the orange yet. So my money is that is a HVR win right there. Leckenby's come in second. It was a great sprint, also a new personal record for the Hilly Loop by Morgan, which is fantastic. Dan Sullivan now just coming in over the line. So great sprint there from Morgan. So I've gone back to Alan Chapman on the road, and we're now calling for a C grade. Is that correct?
Yeah, now we look for the C grade riders. So
Okay, so I'm
we can
sitting with Luke
switch back to.
Kendall, who we talked about earlier. And he's sitting, there's a bunch of five riders that he's sitting there with. Let's see if we can find more. Okay, I'm with Cole Hassel,
It
who's just,
looks like the C grade bunch is sort of split up across a few of the different grades, or a few of the big different bunches out on the road. So we've got Ian McGregor,
okay, so I'm on Ian
looks like
McGregor
leading
right
the C
now.
grade ride.
I'm on
So
Ian
he looks
McGregor
like he's
right
got
now,
about
sitting
a
at
minute.
2.6, 26.8 in. There's a
He's
few
got about
other
a minute
riders up.
30 by the looks of it to the next rider on the road, James Mitchell, and Luke Kendall, HVR, is also probably looks like about a minute 30 behind Ian McGregor.
Okay, so I'm thinking that B Mitchell is the leading rider in C grade, um, along with a P Moore, but neither of them. I think we may have Ian McGregor is our number one rider, I think. Tim Hasnute is riding in with those C grade riders right now, but I do think the leading C grade rider from our lot is I McGregor, who's coming in now. Or do you think I've
Correct.
got that wrong?
No, I think Ian McGregor looks like he's the leader as far as the live results go. So I'd say you'd be on the money there. And then, yeah, as I said, next to HVR and PMCC guys are Luke Kendall and Ryan Oxenford on the road.
Yeah, okay. So
I'd
I
say
can
Ian,
see sitting back here. So he looks like McGregor from Port Macquarie will take 10 points in the Gauntlet Series and another 5 bonus points for the win overall. He's just
correct.
sitting there 1.9 watts a kilogram, 1.5, zero point 0.4, and he rolls over and he has done his effort. So well done, Mr. McGregor. Well done. Let's go back to my fan view to where Alan Chapman is. Alan Chapman. He's suffering like a dog, the poor guy. Sitting there, he's done 25.8 kilograms. He's sitting there. Oh, he's sitting there with Lani. We'll have to tell him that he is sitting there, and he probably end up going to get rolled by an under. I'm not sure if Lani now moves into under 17 or if she's still an under 15 rider, which makes it so much harder. I'll move over to Luke Kendall now, who we think may very well be our second place rider in the HVR PMC competition. Yes.
Correct.
Okay,
Yep,
so he's
I'd say
there
I'd go
with
with that as well.
Gagliardi from Port Macquarie, who's sitting there. Oh no, he is a B grader. Gagliardi from Port Macquarie is has entered into B grade and perhaps should have entered into C grade, but that's is what it is. And these guys have got about no, 1K to go. We'll watch Luke come in, and then maybe we'll
They're
flick.
basically cruising through. If you, I'm looking at I'm actually following Alani at the moment, and she's the Port Macquarie rider, and they've gone through 26 k's by the looks of it.
Okie dokie then. Well, I'm watching the finish here with Luke Kendall, who is sprinting now. He's sitting there, 9 watts a kilogram. No, putting in another dig, sitting there, and we've got McGlarty from Port Macquarie, who's sitting there, just come over the top of Luke on the finish. However, Gagliardi is actually, who set a PR, is actually racing in B grade, whereas Luke looks like he's taken 9 points plus some bonus points for HVR, so massive effort there. And Cole Hassel, one of the Fit Rig and HVR riders, has come across, along with Paul Drop as well. So let's go back and we'll look at this bunch that Lani is with, because we've got Alan Chapman in there. Now let's see, they're coming
Yep.
into the finish right here. And now let's see if Lani
Yeah.
can absolutely destroy Alan. So I'm going to put on to Lani, who's sitting in slowly, maybe putting up the power. She's sitting there at 4 watts a kilogram. I think Alan
Looks
is
like
going
we've
to
got Lawrence
grovel
Price
to.
is actually Lawrence is leading this one out as well. So another HVR rider in there. So yeah, we're coming into the last couple of 100 meters now. So this will be interesting for this little bunch as they
Okay,
have a
I've
gallop.
just lied. Wait, you hold on. Alan Chapman is just absolutely laying down some serious watt bombs. I saw him sitting there at 12 watts, 12 watts a kilogram. S. Phillips from HVR has just come over the top to get to get up a little bit higher than Alan did, and then we had Alani come in. So great job. And then Lawrence Price came in at the end there. So well done. Well, look, I cannot go back to any further grades, although I do see Haley Dell there that
Actually,
I've managed to be able to hit. She's sitting there, and I think at 18.9 watts and 19 kilometers into the ride, she's just going to sit there and take it easy. I can also see Arthur Snow there, who's coming in just now for the finish. He's sitting in B grade. He's had a tough day on the bike today. So okay, mate.
Arthur
Well,
Snow backing up after a good hit out last night.
he did have a good hit out. I actually just saw Morgan Ho just in there from St George Cycling Club, who is a cycling New South Wales legend in his own right. Now it'll be very interesting to see where our points are. Port Macquarie did exceptionally well today.
They sure did. They got a lot of. They basically got the top couple of places, if I remember correctly, in the A grade. It seems like so long ago since we were calling the A grade race. But yeah, it looks like they got a few good places in both A and B grade today. So yeah, put
I've
a
just seen
bit of
another
a
rider. Let's
dent
find
in
here
the
if I can
HBR lead.
catch him here. I've got Zach Rowland, who is an under 13 rider. This is the where the view we've got right now is Z Rowland. Zach is I think he is 11 years old. And he's a great mountain biker, and I think he does a lot of bit of downhill as well. He is one of those crazy kids. More often than not, when I'm talking to his parents, Zach has got a broken something, so the kid has no fear and gets back, and it looks like that 18.6K was enough for him. But I think being 11 years old, that's fairly exceptional. I don't think I would have done too well in this race. I can see that Brett Lampkin's just come across the finish line, as has Michael Flynn. Um, I'm currently on Morgan Ho at the moment, so I think there was some great racing. We're going to have to do a little bit of working, a bit of a few calculations, but I think that HVR are going to be pretty safe in terms of holding out the Gauntlet series, but we will see what's going on. Now, I've just had a message from Laura Renshaw saying that Arthur Snow rode 130K today and then backed up with this race.
Not surprising. Yeah,
That's
he's
pretty
probably
impressive. Okay, well, guys, I have no idea how
ridden out
many
to
people
Hez
ended
and
up streaming. We're still working out how we can do this better. As you know, the the four of us, none of us are in television or internet or anything like that. We've got like a finance person and two health people, and I actually don't know what Chapman does. What does Chapman do?
no one does.
No, no one
I'm
does. I
not
don't
quite
think he
sure.
does anything.
I think he's a semi-professional Swift racer. Was last I heard.
Yeah, a
On the
semi-professional
official
Swift racer.
job
That's
title.
impressive. That is impressive. No wonder he can't afford a decent computer. So I'm just looking here to see if I can find, um, we currently have 4 concurrent viewers. Um, and uh, and we've got a few people who have been watching. Laura Renshaw just checking, is the chat working? Anyone else there can see? Can you see it, Nick and Pete? Troy, oh, I can see the race. I can hear both sounding clear from Reese Ashpole. Sorry, sound is great. So there was been a bit of chat there. So obviously there have been a few people watching. I've got 6 concurrent viewers, mate. We are big time. Nick
That's
Haddon,
it. So we've got 6 people watching. Yep.
yeah, 6 people watching, mate. We are big time. And that delay with you is shocking. We're going to have to work on that. Rightio, guys. Thank you so much for watching. That's the end. We'll put up the results hopefully either this afternoon or tomorrow. Thanks for watching, and please like and subscribe to the HVR YouTube channel. I think if we hit 1,000 people, we get to do some more fancy things with YouTube, and it's
We've
free or
only got
something. I don't know what
900,
it is, but anyway. Absolutely fantastic to have you guys
966 to
come in.
go,
Thank you
Pete.
very much for Port Macquarie
966
for
to go.
being great sports. And Nick, you got any final words, mate?
We've only got 966 subscribers to go, and then we get that nice 1,000 subscribers number that you were talking about. But no, great to see a good turnout today. I reckon there would have been at least 50 starters in the HVR and Port Macquarie Cycling Club round 2 of the Gauntlet Challenge. So yeah, it's only going to grow from here. So it's a
Absolutely.
bit
So
of fun on
who
your
should we
Saturday
challenge
afternoon,
next,
and
Nick?
yeah, looks like I've heard whispers that Tamworth are pretty keen to have a bit of a go actually. So
Yeah.
apparently
Well,
there's a few rumours about a time trial on a Tuesday night for a starter, and yeah, should be some pretty exciting times.
yeah. I'm going to do the time trial. I am going to do the time trial. I'm back on the bike, Nick, and I'm going to do the time trial and see if I went faster than the Tuesday before. And I really do hope
Excellent.
I go okay. I won't need the bucket for this one, I'm sure.
Just have it ready. I'll talk to Aiden to make sure he's got one ready to go for you.
Right, mate. Thanks for tuning in, everyone,
Right.
and we'll catch you later. See you later.
Cheers, guys.